Tackle today, Matt and Mark Justice from Tackle Trading, bringing you all the charts, all the news, all of the analysis in just a few minutes so you can be informed in your trading day. Traders still a little apprehensive on what the Israeli strikes might be on Iran, but we've had some strong economic data that is forming a narrative today. Matt, break down the technicals for us.
Yeah, the technicals here, not a big change from where we were last week, kind of what we've been tracking all week long here. Just a little bit of defensive posture, a little bit of consolidation. Hasn't really done anything wrong, hasn't done anything right, though, either, following that breakout. And so we're just kind of waiting on a little bit of which one of these data points this week, which there have been a tremendous amount of data points this week, is going to be the catalyst that the market sees and decides to pick it up a little bit, because outside of Tuesday's price action, you really haven't had a tremendous amount of changing characteristics of this price action following the breakout recently. And so you really haven't seen anything as of yet to get too excited about, and you haven't seen anything as of yet to get too concerned about type thing. Now, one thing you said in the trading,
I like that. I like that. Like excitement, fear, not a lot, nothing to go on yet,
no,
right?
the headlines
The
certainly,
headlines are scary.
but not the price action. And I just want to talk about one quick technical side point that you made in the Trading Justice podcast this previous week, that you were thinking about this general consolidation playing out for the better part of the week, and you felt like the best technical backdrop would be consolidation going into a little bit of momentum getting sparked on the labor market numbers coming out on Friday. Well, here we are 4 days later, and that's basically what we are talking about. Now we got to see what the market does with that data point tomorrow. But in general, Mark, what we've seen this week is technical concern based on geopolitical concerns, but we have not seen U.S. economic data anything other than pretty decent this week. It's been beats out there. Whereas there's a little bit of dark cloud, obviously, from a geopolitical perspective, that's holding the market back a little bit. We get clarification on that geopolitical side of the equation. That is not worst case scenario. You get a good labor market print tomorrow. It kind of feels like the market wants to do something. But again, we got to see that data point first.
Yeah, no, I mean that's the setup, right? It is you got to get resolution on the Israel thing so traders know what that is. But the economic story, Matt, that has been building this week is a very strong one. You had on Jolts very strong number on Tuesday, ADP very strong number on Wednesday, and today with the IMSM services, you had the biggest number since early 2023. This has not only been a relieve fears of slowing growth. This has been a really, really strong economic week. Labor market data confirms tomorrow. The narrative coming out of this week will not be slowing growth. It will be a resilient economy.
Yeah, the economic data this week has been pretty decent for the backdrop of the economy. And remember, in Fed cutting cycles, it's all about the economy, kind of like what James Carville likes to say. It's all about the economy, stupid. Well, that's kind of how it is in rate cutting cycles for us when it comes to the marketplace. And so when you look at the economic data this week, yeah, Mark, you're absolutely right. Jolts on Tuesday was positive. ADP non-farm on Wednesday positive. Initial claims right in line, no concern. ISM services PMI came in above the expectation. And so, yeah, I wouldn't say it's a robust economic environment out there, but when you're having a conversation in a rate cutting cycle and there's concern on the economy, these numbers are really good numbers.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to break this down in the Tackle Trading newsletter in depth tomorrow. Be sure to check that out along with the podcast this weekend while we're analyzing a very interesting, to say the least, macro backdrop with the geopolitical and economic narratives building this week. NVDA, a little company called NVDA, had some interesting news today.
Well, it's not just NVIDIA today. There's actually been quite a bit of stocks in the news this week. It's just been, there's been that geopolitical headline every single day for the last 3 days in the market, and that's just always going to take the priority in the short term when you have geopolitical concern versus what's happening on the individual stock side of the equation. But you have had quite a bit of stocks in the news this week. NVIDIA was in the news here today as Jensen comes out and says there's insane, quote unquote, insane demand for the Blackwell chip. Levi Strauss comes out today and reports earnings where they did officially beat EPS expectations by about 6%, but they also dropped forward-looking guidance for 2024 quite a bit as well. Constellation Brands, they were in the news here today as they came out with earnings, and they officially beat on earnings as well. They maintained forward-looking guidance. Now, we'll go through all the stocks in the news in the Traders Lounge we do with the pro members every single day in quite detail. But when you're looking at these just quickly from a technical perspective, NVIDIA here showing a little bit of improving condition, obviously trying to fight through a little bit of symmetrical triangle. You're seeing these types of patterns all over the place in the semiconductor side of the equation. Still needs to get a little bit cleaned up, but NVIDIA's news certainly can help that get cleaned up. When you're looking at Levi's here, triggered a little bit of a gap down on that drop in guidance. That's always going to be a little bit of concern when you do drop your guidance like that for the full 2024 year. We saw it yesterday with Nike when they not only dropped their guidance, but removed their guidance entirely. Those companies that drop guidance, remove guidance, there's always going to be questions for traders and investors where they do not have guidance to kind of anchor against, and so a little bit of concern on Levi here today. And then on Constellation Brands, STZ, the liquor company, they came in line basically on their guidance. They did officially beat the EPS, but we're not talking big beats out there, and we're not talking about a guidance update that was anything exciting. And so a little bit of a gap down here, as well as the market's a little bit of concern. Once again, I feel the geopolitical situation is really kind of the entire focus of the market here this week. Economic data has not really had major pushes outside of intraday data. These stocks in the news, even NVIDIA today. Think about NVIDIA today. NVIDIA up 4% today, and the Qs are not even basically a doji versus yesterday's price. You look at SMH, the semiconductors, a little bit of an upward movement in price. But if you were to tell me yesterday, NVIDIA is going to go up 4%, we're going to have good beats on the economic data, I would say the market would have a little bit of a better bullish moment here today. But you are in front of the labor market, and you do have that geopolitical situation in the Middle East that is obviously a priority from the concern perspective.
Yeah, I know. When there's a lot of moving parts, and when you sit back on a weekend and analyze it, positive news out of the NVIDIA, positive news out of the economy. It just comes down to those geopolitical concerns getting resolved. We'll see how that plays out. Matt, not a surprise, the dollar is having a good week. Let's just call it what. I mean, that lets you know about the combination of geopolitical economic data, doesn't it?
It does. And you're getting that 1-2 punch here this week. And again, you had three things on the dollar this week. There was a high probability it was going to go up this week, a very high probability it was going to go up this week. But that was simply because of, one, that support level is so important. Number two, you've had good economic data. And the number one reason a currency goes up is based on positive economic data. The number one reason a currency goes down is negative economic data. And then number three, obviously, you have the geopolitical situation, which you have a run to safety. And the US dollar is seen as a safe haven currency. And so it's not surprising to me in an environment where safety is kind of the word of the day, that the dollar does okay, gold does okay, safe havens around the world do okay. That's not abnormal in these environments. And so I wasn't too concerned. I certainly felt the dollar was going to go up fairly aggressively, but I wasn't too concerned on the commodity side. But I'll tell you what, I'm far more impressed with commodities holding up against what the dollar is doing than what the dollar is doing in and of itself. You look at gold here, just nothing. High base type analysis, simple consolidation. You look at silver here. If you were going to tell me you were going to get that dollar type move, I would tell you
that is not a chart in silver on that you see with that dollar chart ever.
It's just not. But you have, again, the dollar on the safety bid, but you got positive economic data, which is typically very helpful for the industrial metals. And so you got some weird situations that you need to work out a little bit. And the one thing you probably need to work out about is whether or not the worst case scenarios in that geopolitical situation are going to play out. But at the end of the day, you got to be impressed with the commodities holding up so far against that dollar move. You look at copper, same type of conversation, down a little bit, really volatile. Copper's been a lot more volatile, but you haven't even broke the 9 EMA. And so, yeah, you're seeing volatility in copper. That's, again, not to be too unexpected. We saw volatility in copper ever since the Chinese did their bazooka stimulus from a week and a half ago. And so you've seen that volatility. But again, I'm very impressed with silver, very impressed with gold. Silver itself has not broken out. It's kind of in that environment where you like the development, but it has not broken out yet. And so you got to keep an eye on that 29.5 level. And then obviously when you are looking at gold, it's just hovering there in a little bit of consolidation right underneath that 2,700 resistance level.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, we're going to have some great conversations in the Traders Lounge today. Be sure to check out the Tackle Trading newsletter. That is a reason to become a pro. Lot to discuss this week. There's going to be some fantastic analysis. Go to tackletrading.com, sign up for that 15-day free trial.